Hi, the other day I wanted to use a delay which would pitch up or down after each tap, and I didn't have a delay plugin like that, so I thought I'd build one myself, and I did. And it made me realize I could now make the delay do anything after each tap, which means you can do stuff like this. Or this. Or this. Or this. Or you can combine all of them. So I want to grant you this power as well. I'm going to show you. Here we have a normal delay. I'm sure you generally understand what it's doing, but more technically, it takes the original sound and delays it by a certain amount and then feeds it back into itself, which causes it to delay it again and so on. As you might know, if you lower the feedback, it gets quieter after each tap, which in essence just means that this controls the volume of the sound before it loops back. So every time it feeds back a quieter sound, it makes it even quieter until it disappears, you know. Pretty simple concept, I think. So now let's make it manually. Because I'm using FL Studio, I'm going to use Patcha, because you can create plugin combinations here. We can put a delay here, which I guess if I'm using a delay to make a delay, that's kind of, but stay with me. I'm going to make it fully wet and no dry, and the feedback 0. And now I'll have the original sound going, you know, comes in, goes out, and then another instance goes into the delay. So now we have a delayed sound. Now we would want to feed this back into itself. So if we just try to put like a random plugin that doesn't do anything here, so that we can route this back into itself, and oh, we can't put it there. Oh no, why not? It's because FL Studio has been baby-proofed to not allow you to feed stuff back into itself. Because if you're not careful, you can like make the sound go infinitely loud. Because like sound, make it twice as loud, make it twice as loud. But anyhow, I found a workaround and it's a bit kooky. But just stay with me, okay? You need to use a plugin called Restream. I'll have the download in the description. It's a plugin where you can send and receive audio between different instances of this plugin. I believe you could use this like even between DAWs, for example. But here we can do a contraption where let's put this here. Let's output this delay into the Restream, and we'll set this to send audio, because like audio comes here. Now we're gonna send audio from here. We can now copy this and make the second one receive audio. And also you have to make both of them have the same identifier, so it like sends audio between the identifiers. So I'm gonna keep it at default, and now we want to feed it back into itself, and we can do that, and it sounds like this. You might notice it's like distorting itself kind of. That's actually a fruity delay thing. You have to set this to limit so it doesn't distort it, and now it'll be perfect. Now you can just boom. But you might notice now that it's going on forever. So we would want to make sure that before it feeds it back into itself, we add a little volume control, and we can make this like, let's say -4, and now every tap it lowers -4. Like that. Now you just have your own delay plugin where you can add stuff between every tap, which you normally wouldn't be able to do unless the delay plugin offers you stuff to change, like change pitch, for example. So we can now try a pitch shifting delay, for example. Let's put just a quick pitch shifter here, kilohertz pitch shifter. Now let's make it so after every tap, it pitches up half a semitone. Why not? And that is pretty cool. This is another important thing. Put a limiter after any feedback loops you create, because you're gonna run into stuff like this, where it's gonna just fuck it up. For example, in this case, to fix that, I would put an EQ here, which cuts out the low end. Now it's not gonna build up. Anyway, we now have a pitch shifting delay that we made. Oh, also make sure to output the delay right before you send it here. Now it just makes sure that the first delay tap will already have the effects on. So yeah, now we have a pitch shifting delay. What else can we do? We can now put any effect here which can stack up. So like a pitch shifter stacks up very well. If you do something like reverb, technically it stacks up, but you don't really hear 5 reverbs versus 3 reverbs. Just try to think about which plugins would stack up. Let's check out my previous examples I made. We have this one, which is not as audible what it does. With this it's audible. This is another pitch shifting one, but I split it into 2. I made it so it goes into 2 branches. It goes into one pitch shifter which pitches it up and one which pitches it down at the same time. I also did some shenanigans where it like pans it further away, which is not very audible, but in theory it's supposed to like then I added another delay in between for both of these for some reason. Nothing crazy, but this is already cool. Like you can have a sound become multiple things, multiple delays at once. Like let's do a third one. I'll put a third one here. Let's have this pitch up like, I don't know, 3. Like, that's cool. Let's make the delay really small. And let's make these also really small. And now you have like a weird sound. Let's check out the second one. Here the main effect is Harmonic Adder, which is a weird random plugin from Anarchy Effects. It looks so scuffed, but this is like a plugin with which you can add harmonics. So I thought that could be fun. It like starts stacking up. And then I split it into 2 so that both of them like add different harmonics. I don't know. It goes into a picture here, but I don't think it's doing anything. But I added it here because there's a fun little Foreman button. Like this is doing some weird things, and now I can make it do stuff like that. So like Foreman shifting it, pretty messed up. But that's kind of too messed up, so I don't have it doing anything. Also, you can see I'm making it wider each time, which is not a big thing, but another cool detail I think is that I'm flipping the stereo after each one. Let's see what it sounds without that. It's pretty similar, but I thought maybe it could make the stereo feel like swim around more. This one is kind of messed up. I did like how this sounded on vocals. Dude, I don't think there's any point in trying to explain what is going on here. I'm just routing random things into random plugins here. We have 2 Aninas, which is a free plugin that you have to get. It's a spectral shaping tool which can suppress resonances, which is pretty handy because it's what Soothe does, which costs $4 trillion. If we just look at this one, for example, you can hear it's like changing up the sound if I remove this. Yeah, it's like suppressing it in an interesting way. You can also delta it, so it plays what it's suppressing. And I have another here which is using the delta, which sounds like this. Dude, I don't know, there's way too many plugins here. And a phaser to, I guess, make it more this. I don't know why I'm trying to explain this. Another stupid thing I'm doing is I have an envelope follower here, which in FL Studio is P controller. And I'm using the loudness of the sound to control the time of this delay just slightly. We can make this crazy. Let's make this crazy. So now like the louder it is, the more it changes the delay time. Which, I don't know, that's an interesting effect. I think there's a lot to explore here, so I really suggest you just go in here and start trying plugins that could stack on top of each other, like a frequency shifter. I thought a Foreman shifting pitch shifter is already like so interesting. Have you heard this before? Or just like duh. I make this really strong. Yeah. I wanted to also show a potential other way to do a feedback loop if you have an audio interface and a jack cable. Okay, I actually haven't tried this, and I'm gonna do it with you to see if it works. I don't know, someone suggested it, let's see. So, Here's my trusty Scarlett audio interface, which I'm using at this moment. And someone suggested to create a feedback loop. I could try physically creating a loop here and then put effects in between, which I don't know. Maybe this will explode. I actually didn't check out if this is safe or not. Maybe this is not safe. Oh, I don't actually know. But let's see. If we have a line output here, let's just put it in the left. And now let's make this connect to the second input I have over here. So now we have a loop. And now if I just go in here in one of the mixer slots. Well, okay, first of all, I also need to add gain here. I'm kind of scared. The very first thing, I'm going to add a limiter again, just in case. I'm going to decrease the gain actually, so that it rather goes quieter than louder. Now, okay, I guess I can only do stereo. Oh my god, it works. Okay, wow, okay. And there's naturally like a delay, which I don't know how long the delay is. Ah, okay. Yeah. With all the plugins that I have in this project, the latency is 108 milliseconds, which means I guess you can't make it like consistent, but that's actually cool that it works. Now I can put stuff here as well. Ah, that's cool. Wow, this is like buggy. That's funny. Let's see. Oh, no. Detuna? That's pretty cool. I disabled the other mixer slot, so now there's less latency. That's cool. I haven't done any hardware stuff. I'm very much a software person, so this is pretty new to me. Ooh, I want to try out the... You see there's an air button here. I want to see... I guess this is kind of just an EQ. No. Okay, yeah. If I turn it on. That's cool. Oh, that's so cool. I can play with this. Okay, go play around with feedback loops. This is fun. There's a lot of potential. Thank you, bye.